Hawaii is spectacular. Each island offers something different. There's so much to see and do. This really is a dream vacation. Where do you go? How long do you stay? Those are the questions first-time visitors always have. So let's take a look at the islands. What to see and do. How to manage time, and how easy and efficient inter-island travel can be. First, a little geography. There are 4 islands most tourists visit: Hawaii Island, often called the Big Island, Maui, Oahu, and Kauai. The Big Island is home to volcanoes, extinct, dormant, and active, including Kilauea, one of the most active on Earth, and Mauna Loa, which erupted in 2022 after a 38-year hiatus. These volcanoes have given the island its size, adding land as lava meets water, and a stark, otherworldly beauty that draws tourists to its shores. With 200,000 residents, Hawaii Island is ringed by spectacular beaches in colors found few other places. A black sand beach on its south shore is easy to reach, but the trek to its green beach is an adventure all its own. World-class snorkeling and hiking, spectacular parks, and the ever-present power of the ocean make this an ideal destination for nature lovers. Just 30 miles across the Ali-Nui-Ihaha Channel is Maui, the Valley Isle. Home to 170,000 people and a premier wedding destination for couples worldwide. It's also known for its glorious beaches, large, luxurious resorts, mountaintop sunrises, the road to Hana, windsurfing, snorkeling, whale watching, and ziplining. To the northwest is Kauai, the Garden Isle. From rugged North Shore beaches to South Shore sunsets, from beachside dining to daytime sailing along the Nepali coast, from Waimea Canyon hiking to Waialua River kayaking, there is so much to see and do here. From the mainland, there are direct flights to the Big Island, Maui, and Kauai. But more than likely, H&L, the Honolulu airport, will be your initial destination. So let's start our in-depth look at the islands there, on Oahu, the Hawaiian word for gathering place. The images you have of the 50th state come from this island: Waikiki Beach, Diamond Head, Pearl Harbor, surfing on the North Shore, and of course, Hawaii 5-0. More than 1 million people live on Oahu, home to Honolulu, the state's capital. This thriving, high-rise filled city is probably best known for world-famous Waikiki Beach. The almost entirely man-made beach is a playground for tourists from around the world. In the 1800s, it was a retreat for Hawaiian royalty, who surfed on early longboards, surfboards between 9 and 12 feet long. And still today, its calm waters make it an ideal place to learn to surf. Bordered by beautifully historic hotels, Waikiki Beach offers every level of accommodation, from vacation rentals to high-rise hotels with expansive views of the beach, Diamond Head, and the Pacific. Unlike cities and towns on other islands, sidewalks in Honolulu aren't rolled up at sunset. This vibrant city offers plenty of activities after dark. Honolulu is on Oahu's southeast shore, with Pearl Harbor and H&L centered to the west. Getting your rental car at H&L is fairly easy. They're located in the Terminal 2 parking garage. Driving on all the islands is mostly stress-free, but Oahu does have some rush hour traffic, and perhaps surprisingly, even some short, though spectacular, stretches of interstate. A short drive to the North Shore brings you to the Dole Plantation, and a stop there for a Dole Whip is a must. The North Shore is home to Haleiwa. It's loaded with old plantation town character, food trucks galore, and a surf shop or two. The 30-mile drive from Honolulu to Haleiwa takes about 45 minutes. To Haleiwa's west is Kaena Point State Park. It's a short drive that offers a bold change in scenery and a couple of hiking trails. To the east is world-famous Waimea Bay. In winter months, thanks to massive storm-generated waves, it hosts some of the world's top surfing competitions. Waimea Bay is perhaps my favorite place in all of Hawaii. Big rocks, crashing waves, a spectacular beach, a masterclass in surfing, and if you're lucky, it'll be lifeguard training day, a chance to see how the ocean is tamed. Just across from Waimea Bay is Waimea Valley, an area of religious and historic significance, and a beautiful botanical garden that's home to a huge variety of plants from around the world, including the largest collection of Polynesian plants. Make your way, a bit less than a mile through the gardens, to Waimea Falls. Never miss a chance for a waterfall swim, and for that, this place is special. It's family-friendly, life vests are provided and required, and it's lifeguard supervised. The gardens and waterfall are part of a non-profit organization. There's an admission fee, but once you see the flowers, trees, and falls, and how history and tradition are presented, you understand why. East of Waimea Bay is Sharks Cove, a large tidal pool that's great for snorkeling. And just across the highway is the ultimate food truck village. If it's not there, it's not worth eating. If you're on Oahu between November and February, there's a good chance big waves will be too. And this Sharks Cove area is a great place to spot them. As you continue east along the North Shore, you'll see spectacular beaches, huge waves, and gravity-defying surfers. It is the Hawaii of your dreams. Next up on the North Shore is Turtle Bay Resort, home to a waterfront hotel, vacation rentals, a golf course, and spectacular sunsets. At the beach, just to the left of the hotel, is a marker and display board commemorating an early use of radar, a missed opportunity, and a bit of Pearl Harbor history. Oahu's windward side is jam-packed with must-see sights, too. Heading down the highway from Turtle Bay, first up is the Polynesian Cultural Center. There's a lot to see and do here, but the massive luau was the draw for me. Just 11 miles down the coast is the 4,000-acre Kualoa Ranch, a working cattle ranch and private nature reserve that has been the backdrop for blockbusters, including Jurassic Park and Godzilla. The ranch offers movie tours and a variety of activities. It's about 32 miles from Haleiwa and 24 from Honolulu. About 8 miles south of the ranch is the Byodo-In Temple. This Buddhist temple commemorates the 100th anniversary of the first Japanese immigrants in Hawaii. The temple, a smaller-scale replica of its 900-year-old namesake in Japan, is located in the valley of the temple's park, a large cemetery with faith-based sections. The architecture and surroundings are beautiful. There's an admission charge, but the temple is open to those of all faiths. Just 4 miles away in the bay is Mokuolo Island, also known as Coconut Island, also known as Gilligan's Island. Shots of the island were used in the 1960s-era sitcom. If the castaways had only known how close they were to Honolulu. Today the island is owned by the University of Hawaii. It's a marine research facility. On the southeasternmost point of Oahu is Makapu'u Point, home to the lighthouse with the largest lens in the United States. Built in 1909 by the Coast Guard, the red-capped brick structure stands 46 feet tall, with a 420-foot focal height. Its range is 17 nautical miles. To see it up close, you walk the wide, paved Makaupu Point Lighthouse Trail. Despite the built-in comfort, it can feel steep, with an elevation gain of 505 feet. Bring sunscreen and water. The 2.5-mile round trip provides incredible views of Oahu and the ocean, and if you're there in season, it's easy to spot whales. At the end of the trail, an elevated viewing platform provides a look down at the lighthouse, as well as expansive views of Makapu'u Beach Park and a nearby island and islet, both bird sanctuaries. There's also a small path that offers a closer look at the lighthouse. Just north of the trail is the Makapu'u Lookout. You'll get a better view of the beach park, the bird sanctuaries, and Sea Life Park Kaua'i, just beyond the beach. As you head back south, you'll pass the popular sandy beach before reaching the Halona Blowhole and Beach Cove. This beach is also known as Eternity Beach, the site of one of Hollywood's most iconic kissing scenes between Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr in the 1953 Oscar-winning movie From Here to Eternity. Just beyond Halona Cove is Hanoma Bay Nature Preserve, a marine life conservation district and one of the most popular tourist attractions on the island. Its coral reef is home to 450 species of fish, octopus, crabs, eels, and green sea turtles. Suffering from over-tourism, the bay now limits access. There are admission and parking fees, and reservations are needed. New visitors are required to watch an educational film before walking down or riding the tram to the bay. Check out the bay website to plan your visit. Just over Coco Head Park is Coco Marina. It's a great place for all kinds of water sports, from parasailing on the open ocean to water skiing in the protected marina. And for me, as you can probably tell, both are highlights of Oahu visits. Before you leave, grab a drink or a bite dockside at the Kona Brewing Company. Next up, 3 craters that offer spectacular views of the island. First up is nearby Coco Head Crater. The hike up to the 1,200-foot summit is via the Coco Crater Trail. It's a steep hike using abandoned railroad tracks that once connected a military station up top to the world below. The view is incredible, but so too is the hike. There are more than 1,000 railroad ties that serve as steps. There are a couple of craters nearby that are a little easier to reach. Nearing Honolulu, Diamond Head is next up, and the 0.7 of a mile hike up, including 200 steps, is a much easier reach for those of us who are perhaps a little less active. But it's a popular site, and the climb up to the 670-foot summit is considered a moderate hike. When you reach the top, wait your turn for the most spectacular view Oahu has to offer. The third crater, Punch Bowl, is a must-see, and it's the easiest to get to. A drive through a residential neighborhood quickly brings you to the summit of this 272-foot crater, offering a close-up view of the city skyline. The beautiful park-like setting is by design. Punch Bowl is home to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. The peace you feel in this extraordinary place will stay with you long after you leave this beautiful island. For many, Pearl Harbor is the reason Hawaii is a bucket list destination. Their pilgrimage here isn't to a massive naval base, it's to a sacred place. With reverence, they honor the 2,403 who died after the Empire of Japan's surprise attack. December 7th, 1941 is a day that has lived in infamy. The Pearl Harbor National Memorial Visitor Center is free and open to the public daily from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The complex features exhibits, a theater, and a research and education center. But the Arizona Memorial, what you really must see, requires a free ticket reservation. There are limited seats for each day on the boats that go to the memorial. Plan ahead and secure your tickets as soon as possible. The memorial straddles the hull of the USS Arizona, where 1,777 sailors lost their lives. 900 are still entombed in the ship. The Battleship Missouri Memorial and the Bowfin Submarine are available for tours too. They require paid tickets. Just to the west of Pearl Harbor is Aulani, the Disney resort. This leeward side of the island has beautiful beaches and a slower pace. In addition to the places already mentioned, Oahu is loaded with sights to see, including other observation points, like the Pali Lookout and the Aloha Tower. Royal sites like the Iolani Palace and the Queen Emma Summer Palace. Museums like Bishop, home of the world's largest collection of Polynesian artifacts. Secluded hikes far from tourist centers that lead to incredible waterfalls. And of course, the headquarters of Hawaii Five-0. Choosing a place to stay in Honolulu really depends on preferences, mainly rentals versus hotels, and which part of the beach you like most. But that's something you won't know until you get here. Some people love the massive Hilton Hawaiian Village, its beachfront, large lagoon, and Friday night fireworks show on Waikiki's west side. Others prefer the grand old hotels or the twin towers of the Hyatt Regency. For me, it's Airbnb rentals overlooking the zoo and Diamond Head on the east end of Waikiki. I like the beach in this area and the on-street parking I can often find around the zoo. Parking fees at large hotels are insanely high. Honolulu can easily be seen without a car, but you'll need one to explore the rest of the island. The proximity of your favorite restaurants will help determine your favorite part of the beach. For me, Lulu's on the corner by the zoo and Tiki's just a block away fit the bill. I love the elevated open-air dining, the atmosphere, and the food both offer. And Tiki's often has live music. And the Airbnbs I mentioned are just around the corner. It won't take long for you to find a favorite area, too. You can find almost any kind of food in this city, and it's guaranteed to be as varied and colorful as your surroundings. There are plenty of dinner and drinking cruises, too. The Star of Honolulu, departing the Aloha Tower Marketplace, offers dinner and a show. This 2 or 3 hour cruise parallels Waikiki Beach. Your stay in Hawaii's capital city can be anything you want it to be. Is it a big city or a resort town? It's what you make it. From a packed beach to a spot with room to spread out. From a surfboard to a catamaran. From a room with a high-rise view to a place that's a bit more down to earth. From dining at Honolulu mainstays like Duke's to grabbing a bite at Burger King. From exploring the city's many parks and public places to browsing high-end shops, ABC stores, or ukulele shops. If urban settings aren't for you, Honolulu is sure to surprise. And Oahu offers so many options, sights to see, places to stay, and things to do, that it's often the first stop for first-time visitors to Hawaii. After Waikiki and Pearl Harbor, most people mention volcanoes. So let's get to the Big Island, Hawaii Island. Inter-island flights are inexpensive and about the only way to get from island to island. When planning a trip here, the "how many islands should I visit" question is almost always first up. My last trip, I visited 3, over 2 weeks, and that worked for me, but I've been to each before. It's really just a time management question. Even though flights between islands are less than an hour, you still lose time checking in and out of a hotel or rental, returning cars, arriving early at the airport, and going through security. But if this is a first-time, long-dreamed-of trip, I understand the urge to see as much as possible, fearing you might never return. I thought that too, our first time. The Big Island has two airports, Kona on the west side and Hilo on the east, with Volcanoes National Park kind of in between, though closer to Hilo. Both cities offer a different feel. The Kona side of the island gets more sun, the Hilo side more rain. But if Volcanoes are why you came, consider a park hotel or a rental near the park. Big is a good name for this island. Drives are longer, so plan accordingly. My first time on the Big Island, I only had 2 days to explore. I saw a lot. You can too. So, if you just have a few days on Oahu or another island, but really want to see a volcano, you can do it. And if you have a bit more time, there's a lot more to see. Start your visit at Volcanoes National Park at the Visitor Center just past the gate. Rangers will gladly help you plan your time at the park. Check the park's website often for updates on eruptions and lava flows. Sometimes the show you've come to see can interrupt your well-planned visit. The park is always open, 24 hours a day, year-round. The per-vehicle cost for 7 days is $30. Buy your digital pass before arrival at recreation.gov and print it out. I've been to the park numerous times, and even when the lava isn't flowing or visible, it doesn't disappoint. You'll drive to all the sites, the steam vents, the lava tubes, the crater rim, and the sea arch via the 18.8-mile chain of Craters Road. There's day hiking and backcountry hiking too. And there are dining options at the Volcano House Lodge near the main gate. How long you should stay at the park is up to you. If lava is flowing, crowds will be too. Lots of people bring lots of traffic, and sometimes that means closures. There are a lot of rental units around the park, but the closest I've stayed is at an Airbnb just south of Hilo. The standalone pool house was perfect for me. A short hike through the adjacent jungle brought me to a secluded waterfront spot that left me feeling like I was the only person on the island. Years later, it's still one of my favorite spots on the Big Island. This is where I am. I feel like I'm, again, on Survivor, but the ocean is out there, so let's go take a look. From Hilo, the park is about 30 minutes away. It takes 2 hours from Kona. That's a long and lonely drive back. So if possible, split your stay, somewhere near the park and somewhere on the Kona side of the island. My last trip, I stayed in the Captain Cook area, south of Kona, in a mountainside Airbnb, a standalone unit built behind a house. This place had 2 special features, an orchard that made breakfast way too easy, and an incredibly steep driveway that put a little thrill into every journey. Just below the house is Kealakekua Bay, home of the world's best snorkeling, or so they say, and the Captain Cook Monument. As I age, I fail to realize that there are things I can no longer do, or in this case, the Captain Cook Monument Trail, things I could never do. It's a shame that didn't stop me. This 3.7-mile hike nearly did me in. It's all downhill until it's not. At the bottom, it's a beautiful setting for a monument commemorating the death of one of the world's most controversial explorers, British Captain James Cook. The European who discovered these islands was killed near this spot. The scenic nature of this place belies its violent past. The clear, calm water is attractive to dolphins, manta rays, and extremely colorful fish. There are numerous snorkeling tours offered, some by boat, others by kayak. Play it smart, go with one of them and avoid the 1,300-foot climb back up. There is not enough water or protein bars to make that hike seem easy. Shoot. If Hawaii doesn't kill you, you keep coming back for more. After an impossible hike, the South Kona fruit stand is the perfect destination. Yes, incredible smoothies, but delicious sandwiches too. Just up from there is St. Benedict's Painted Church, a small Catholic church like no other you've seen. Spend a few minutes inside soaking up the calm and the charm this place offers. Explore the cemetery too. The headstones provide a fascinating glimpse at the island's rich and diverse past. Not far from the church is a National Historic Park not to be missed. Though the name is a struggle to properly pronounce, this 180-acre site was a place of sanctuary for Hawaiian lawbreakers. With a detailed map, a self-guided walking tour opens up an ancient world with a 12-foot-tall, 18-foot-thick Great Wall, wooden gods, shelters, a sacred temple, and a black lava rock shoreline that's fun to explore. It's about impossible to shoot a bad photo here. The soaring palms alone are worth the entry fee, $20 per car. The park's open daily from 8:15 a.m. to 15 minutes past sunset. Next to the park is Two Step, an extremely popular snorkeling site. With abundant sea life and some healthy coral, plan your time here. It's not a sandy beach, but there's lots of rock to spread out on. Two Step may be short on sand, but the Big Island has lots of stunning beaches. Not that far away is the easy-to-reach Black Beach just off Highway 11. Honolulu Beach is the place to feel black sand between your toes. Ocean currents make this beach less than ideal for swimming, but there are restrooms and picnic areas and a chance to see sea turtles. It's a beautiful spot and worth some valued vacation time. But avoid the hot foot, bring flip-flops. Black sand holds heat. Now, what I said about easy to reach does not in any way apply to the Big Island's Green Beach, Papakolea. Getting there is half the fun. So from Highway 11, you turn south between mile markers 69 and 70 towards South Point. It's an 8-mile drive to the parking lot. That's where you'll make the decision. Hike 5.5 miles round trip or pay for a ride on one of the locals' pickup trucks. The latter is unauthorized and discouraged by the powers that be, but obviously allowed to continue. The $20 to $25 round-trip price gets you standing space on the back of a pickup truck. If you're lucky, you'll at least have a bar to hang on to. It's a rough ride. The ruts in the road swallow trucks. If safety and injury prevention are your thing, this isn't a good idea. It is an adventure, though, and despite the damage these trucks clearly do to the environment, a choice you'll have to make. Knowing all this now, I'd like to think I'd hike in next time. Once you arrive, on foot or by truck, make your way down the cliff to the beach. Keep in mind, when they say green, they don't mean Kermit green. It's more of an olive color, and best seen as the sun hits it at an angle. The coloration comes from olivine, a mineral containing iron and magnesium, a common component of lava, and thanks to its sparkling nature, it's called Hawaiian diamond. Aside from the sand, this cove has a lot going on. The constant wave action, walled in by the surrounding cliffs, give way to a non-stop ocean roar that adds to the sensory overload. If you come by truck, you've got about 30 minutes to an hour before you need to be back at your departure gate. I'd like to tell you the ride back is smooth like butter. I really would. Before hitting the main road, drive to the end of South Point and take a look around at the southernmost point in the USA. On the other side of the island, you can see sunset above the clouds and take stargazing to new heights at Mauna Kea, an active volcano whose 13,800-foot summit is home to 13 observatories, funded by 11 countries. If you're into space science or sci-fi, it's a must. For experienced mountain drivers in 4x4s, the drive up to the often snow-capped summit might be doable. If you're from a southern state like me, it is definitely not. Tours are offered departing Kona or Hilo, but with travel time to and from, they eat up lots of hours. However you get there, everyone must wait 30 minutes at the 9,000-foot visitor center to acclimate to the altitude before ascending the summit. A bit north and east along the windward side of Hawaii Island is Lapahoehoe Point Beach Park, an area of outstanding beauty where nature's force is on display. The name refers to the angular lava tip or cape formed by smooth lava. enjoy the roar of the ocean and take a moment to remember the 20 school children and 4 teachers who died here in the 1946 April Fool's Day tsunami that claimed many more lives on the island. The day I was there, a dog, almost as large as my car, really wanted a ride, and an endangered Hawaiian monk seal just wanted a rest. If you love pancakes and the old diner feel, Ken's House of Pancakes in Hilo is for you. It's my Big Island go-to guilty pleasure. On an earlier trip, my Airbnb hosts in Hilo took me to a legendary social gathering that I would never have known about or had access to. It's called Uncle Robert's. It's hard to describe, but it's right up there with the most fun I've had in all of Hawaii. Set in the lava flow zone, an area covered in the hot stuff back in the day, this makeshift complex hosts a night market, live music, delicious food, an exceptionally large bar, arts and crafts, and odds and ends to buy. But its main feature is friendly, welcoming people, just enjoying a midweek break together. It's a prime example of what's great about Hawaii and Airbnb superhosts. Hawaii is different in lots of ways. Airports are a prime example. They have open-air walkways, gates, and check-in areas, agricultural inspections with x-ray machines, and passengers pack a little differently here. Inter-island flights are short, from 40 minutes to an hour, and travel is mostly stress-free. Living up to its name, the Big Island has 2 airports, one in Hilo and one in Kona, and they make inter-island travel so easy. And since they do, let's head across the channel to the Valley Isle, Maui. I've had conventional and unconventional trips to this island. I've driven the must-see Hana Highway and the heart-stopping Kanakili Highway. I've stayed in a condo on Maui Bay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And on a catamaran moored in it, reachable only by kayak. There's so much to do here. However you see Maui, it will be a beautiful thrill ride. First, a little geography. By land size, Maui is the second largest Hawaiian island. It's 48 miles across. You'll land at the Kahului Airport, in the island's largest city, around 30,000 people, home to Target and Costco, and other things you might need. Lahaina, on Maui's west coast, its leeward side, is where charm went to live. The old seaside port was once the capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii and the global center of whaling. Today it's home to cool shops and restaurants along Front Street, named one of America's top 10 streets. It's also home to one of the largest banyan trees in the nation. Make your way to Courthouse Square to see it in all its majesty. From Lahaina, you can take a ferry to Lanai, and if you're lucky, see a border collie give a swim lesson. And here's a great tip. Lahaina is a perfect place for supper and a sunset. Maui is loaded with massive resorts, but if you're like me, and that's not your thing, there are plenty of smaller places and oceanfront condos to choose from. Kihei, in South Maui, has lots of hotels and rental options along beautiful Sugar Beach. This area was the landing point for my kayak from the catamaran I was lucky enough to stay on several years ago. It's not an option now, but the experience was so wonderful that boat stays on Airbnb are my first search criteria anywhere in the world. The Maui Bay condo I stayed in is near the aquarium, the Coast Guard station, and lots of sailing, snorkeling, and biking outfitters. Rental units in this area are well positioned for easy access to all parts of the island, but the beach here is a bit less accessible. Since we're here now, let's book a Molokini Crater snorkeling tour and head out to find Nemo in one of the most spectacular settings imaginable. Inside the submerged volcanic caldera are hundreds of species of fish. The above-water crescent wall protects snorkelers and scuba and snuba divers from waves. There are lots of tour options, so take a good look around and find some that work for you. The crater is just offshore from Big Beach, and Little Beach. The names are appropriately descriptive. Big Beach is a wide, expansive beach, or anywhere, but especially on Maui. The sand is soft, but the shore break is very strong. There are lifeguards on the beach, but its powerful waves make swimming unwise for all but the strongest swimmers. Parking for both beaches can be problematic. If you can, get here early, or later in the day when the crowd thins out. And if you're lucky, there'll be a food truck in the lot. Few things are better than a truck full of food at a beach. It's time for the road to Hana, the Hana Highway, Maui's most popular tourist attraction. The journey to the namesake town is a mere 52 miles. If you make no stops along the way, it will take you 2.5 hours to drive this narrow mountain road through a lush tropical rainforest. You'll pass over 46 one-lane bridges and twist around 620 curves. As a driver, I was fine. As a passenger, I wouldn't have been. If you get car sick, take something from motion sickness. So how do you get there? From Kahului, you hit Highway 36, which becomes Highway 360. Along the way, there are plenty of reasons to stop. Waterfalls, botanical gardens, and other attractions. Get a detailed guide and plan to spend an entire day exploring as you go. If you can, stay overnight in Hana and avoid a drive back in the dark. The return trip, backtracking to Kapalui via the Hana Highway, gives you a chance to see the sights you passed up on the way in. There's another route back, but rental car companies discourage its use. The scary part of this southwestern road is just past Kipahulu, where the roadway hugs cliff walls held in place by wire and netting. You'll definitely question your good decision-making ability here. If you go this route, take it slow and watch out for others. I had a car, but it wasn't raining or muddy. A 4x4 might be a safer bet. As you make your way along State Road 31, it straightens out. You won't have traffic to deal with. This is an isolated place. If you want a bit of solitude on Maui, you'll find it here. You can also circle the West Maui Mountains on the island's other side, but I wouldn't recommend it. Out of an abundance of ignorance, I found myself on the Kanakili Highway on the North Shore. But highway isn't the right word. It's more like mountain-hugging golf cart path with narrow one-way snaking turns right next to sheer cliffs. It's a frightening drive that becomes absolutely horrifying when you encounter an oncoming car and have to back up until you find a pullout that allows both to pass. As I later found out, it's a legendarily dangerous road, one of the most treacherous in the world. It's 21 miles, but your speedometer won't often get above 5. Ho'okipa Beach Park on Maui's North Shore offers so much. If you're a pro windsurfer, it's a well-known destination, the site of premier windsurfing competitions. Consistent winds, powerful waves, dangerous rip currents, and a shallow reef make it off-limits to all but experienced surfers. This beautiful beach has lifeguards, covered pavilions with picnic tables and grills, restrooms, freshwater showers, and above all, a lookout to catch the action. And green sea turtles often visit too. Lifeguards say 2 to 4 p.m. is the best time to see them. On this side of the island is North Shore Zipline Company. I had a great time there. Can you tell? Beginners or experienced zipliners will too. It's located at Camp Maui, a World War II training camp. There's a museum there that tells that story. There are lots of places to zipline on Maui, and I'm sure they're just as much fun. Woo! You can spot whales from any of the islands, but the warm waters in the channel between Maui, Molokai, and Lanai make it one of the best whale watching destinations in the world. Whale watching season is November to May, with peak season usually January to March. Sunrise at Haleakala's 10,000-foot peak is not to be missed, and despite the early call, it's the popular thing to do at this national park. So much so that separate car reservations are required for park entry between 3 and 7 a.m. You'll also need a regular park pass. You can get both at recreation.gov. Sunsets at Haleakala aren't bad either. Haleakala means House of the Sun. Before we move on to Kauai, there's an island I haven't mentioned that you can also see. Molokai, the fifth most populated of Hawaii's 8 major islands, and Maui's nearby neighbor. It's hard to get around on mountain-filled Molokai, and it's not set up for tourism, but its 3,000-foot sea cliffs, the tallest in the world, are a spectacular sight to see. The cost of a relatively short helicopter tour of the island is pretty spectacular too, but I'm glad I did it. Flying by these massive towering cliffs is one of my most vivid, lasting memories of all the Hawaiian Islands. They are almost otherworldly in their beauty. Helicopter tours are available from the Kapalui Airport. Am I saving the best for last? You be the judge. Let's get to Kauai, the Garden Isle. It's called that because a tropical rainforest covers much of this 4th largest of the Hawaiian Islands. A bit more than 70,000 people call it home. And once you visit, you'll realize how fortunate they are. First, a little geography. You'll arrive at the airport at Lihue. From there, it's a short drive to Kapa'a. Centered between the north and south coast, it's often my Kauai home base. This east side of the island, known as the Coconut Coast, is a great place to catch sunrises, and thanks to an abundance of roosters, you won't miss one of them. The North Shore has the Kilauea Lighthouse, Princeville, and a lifetime supply of beautiful beaches. On the South Shore is the postcard-perfect Old Kaloa Town. Food trucks galore, the Eucalyptus Tree Tunnel, Port Allen, where you'll board boats cruising the Nepali coast, surfer-friendly beaches, perfect for sunsets, and Waimea Canyon. The northwest side of the island is home to the skyscraping sea cliffs of the Nepali coast. Your car can't make it there, but a coastal cruise sure can. There are lots of places to stay on Kauai: hotels, large resorts, and rentals. By now you know I like a good Airbnb. A beachfront, poolside condo at Aston Islander on the beach in Kapa'a fits me just fine. And it's just feet away from the Lava Lava Beach Club. It's the kind of restaurant you'd think you'd find on islands around the world. But you don't. Great food, live music, a warm, welcoming atmosphere, and as beachside as you can get. If I stay somewhere else on the island, chances are I'll end up here for supper regardless. You can't come to Kauai and not see the Nepali coast. There are lots of options. Most cruises depart from Port Allen on the South Shore. I had an early morning call for my 5-hour Holo Holo Nepali coast snorkel and sailing tour. After a captain's briefing, we walked to the dock to board Layla, a 50-foot Kauai-made catamaran. First up, we snorkel at a coral reef not far from the dock. The company provides equipment, and the crew outfits passengers. With little wind and calm seas, the sails stay down as we power up the Nepali coast. Making good time, we reach the end of the sea cliffs before turning back. Time for lunch. Sandwiches, veggies, a bit of pasta, and drinks of your choice. As we make our way back down the coast, our focus turns to whales. And on this near-perfect day, we spot a mother and calf in the distance, and then more whales. They give us a show. I popped a few Dramamine the night before and the morning of this ocean outing. A few people spent their day leaning over the back of the boat. Don't risk motion sickness on your Hawaiian vacation. This is a wonderful way to spend the first half of a Kauai day. The catamaran was sleek and fast. The crew informative and fun. The arrival directions clear. Just an all-around great time. As you leave Port Allen, drive through the Eucalyptus Tree Tunnel and grab a bite at one of the 2 food truck villages in charming, historic Old Kaloa Town. To visit Waimea Canyon, you don't pass through or pay an entrance fee at a ranger station. Instead, when you park in the canyon lookout lot, you buy a ticket from a machine. Put the receipt in the car window and you're good to go. The lookout has an expansive 2-level deck that allows you to take in the 10-mile-long, 3,000-foot-deep, vibrantly colored gorge. Waimea Canyon was formed by the Waimea River as it carried rainfall from Mount Waialeale, one of the wettest places on Earth. You can spend a lot of time here, hiking and exploring the canyon. Not far from the canyon is the Martian-like beauty of Red Dirt Falls. It's an oddly peaceful place, with no little green men in sight. Not far from there, something as simple as tall grass in the afternoon sun becomes a top roadside attraction. Look around. It's Kauai. Even ordinary things are beautiful. Be sure to see at least one South Shore sunset. Hikaha Beach Park, a wide treeless beach, is the perfect place to do that. When surf is up and surfers are out, the pre-sunset show is spectacular too. Next up, the Kilauea Lighthouse at Kilauea Point National Wildlife Refuge. Lighthouse and refuge tours may be suspended or limited, so check their websites as you plan your trip. But open or not, take the short drive from the highway to the viewpoint. It is a beautiful sight. From high above, you see the waves crashing onto the rocks below as you look toward the lighthouse, perched atop the point since 1913. See if you can spot a red-footed booby, an albatross, a Hawaiian monk seal, a green sea turtle, or a humpback whale. You might also spot a nene, known as the Hawaiian goose. It's the state bird. Seeing a flock of them has got to bring you good luck. As you head back out on the highway, stop at Kilauea's Community Park. The Aloha sign, shaped out of shrubs, is certainly selfie-worthy. As you head to larger beaches along the North Shore, check out some of the smaller ones. As a Gulf Coast Southerner, shade trees on beaches fill me with envy. And Kauai has more than its share. Nearby the North Shore town of Princeville, you'll pass two Hanalei lookouts. At the Valley Lookout, you'll see how fertile soil is farmed. And at the Bay Lookout, you'll have a great view of the mountains, valley, and in the distance, the bay. As you explore, you'll drive over the Hanalei Bridge to the Hanalei Bay, taking in the view at Hanalei Beach. It's the largest bay on the North Shore, with 2 miles of beach. Its now 340-foot-long pier was originally built in 1892 to help farmers move crops to market. In summer, sailboats moor in its warm waters. In winter, large waves bring surfers. As you make your way westward, stop at Wainiha Bay Park, a thin stretch of rocky beach with great views. The North Shore gets about 85 inches of rain yearly, making it very lush. The winter months, especially February, aren't too friendly to swimmers or boaters, but summer months are a different story. You can spend days exploring Kauai's North Shore, but if you just have one day, you can see a lot. There are plenty of beaches to see on the North Shore. None will disappoint. Make your way to Haina Beach Park. It's a large beach watched over by lifeguards, with lava rocks to climb in front of lush mountains. Right across the highway is the massive, though easy to miss, the Manini Holo Dry Cave. With a sandy floor and high ceiling that tapers down, this cavernous arena could host one of Kauai's larger luau's. At 300 feet deep, it's a don't miss. It's also a thing of legend. Pick yours. A secret escape route from the South Shore or home to a fish-stealing evil spirit. Further down the coast are Haina State Park and Napali Coast State Wilderness Park. Great for hiking and camping. Check permit requirements on their websites. Kealia Beach, on the east side's Coconut Coast, is a large beach with strong surf and even stronger surfers. The Waialua River kayak and waterfall hike is a fantastic way to spend 5 hours on Kauai's east side. Lots of outfitters offer this adventure. I went with Rainbow Kayak Tours, and I had a fantastic time. A great paddle, yes. A beautiful hike, yes. Spectacular scenery, yes. It was an outstanding experience thanks to Zach, our guide.
Obviously, the beginning of
Solo travel has benefits.
the king of the Waialua.
Case in point, you almost always get paired with the guide. This time, even paddling wasn't required.
The ultimate tour. I do nothing. I do nothing.
The Waialua River is on the east side of the island, between Kaua'i and Lihue. To get to and from Secret Falls requires several miles of paddling and a 1-mile hike. You'll cross the river on foot, hike through the tall elephant grass, walk riverside on a boardwalk, and cross a couple of small falls. And then you'll see 120-foot tall Secret Falls. A quick lunch, and then the king of the Waialua makes his way behind the falls. Something brave, or more likely, foolish people do sometimes. The water is beyond cold, and it's hard to breathe when you're behind the falls, but it's the least a king can do for his subjects.
Cast Away with Tom Hanks.
Our return trip,
Same stuff
Zach
that we used
filled
to tie
it
his
with
raft together.
insight and more than a few dad jokes. Be sure to see the free shows at Coconut Marketplace in Kaua'i. This centrally located center has shops and restaurants, a supermarket-style ABC store, and a fantastic shave ice place. And what's Hawaii without an Elvis tune? There's so much to see and do on Kauai, just as there is on all the islands. What I've shown you are my experiences, my Hawaii. Yours will be different. But I hope I've given you a better idea of where you can go and what you can do in this spectacular Pacific paradise. Apologies for any mispronounced Hawaiian words. It's a beautiful language. I wish I spoke it better. I love Hawaii, the islands, and its people, and I hope this was apparent as you watched. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel, Newsocracy. I'm Jim Albritton. Thanks for watching.